Nice to meet you. This video is about writing a short resume. It will be useful especially for those who want to change the industry or way of life and direction of activity. We have already written a long CV. Now we have a conscious material with lessons learned as well as the realized fruits out of our activities. After reading this material, we can understand two most important things about ourselves. The first thing is, who am I? In a resume, this section is called About Me. This is the first section where you briefly write, just in one paragraph, about what you consider the most important thing about yourself, that you want the world to know. I will not provide any examples now, because everyone who watches this video can be so different, and thus any examples won't be adequate for all the cases. Each person will have their own unique long CV and formulate and present the Who Am I section, or Who I Am section, in their own way. That is why we are going to discuss each resume on an individual basis. The second section is about what I want to do next with this being and that quality of mine. You can also say it is about your nature. You're going to grow and deepen. In the second section, you show the vector of your intended growth. We can grow only when we develop something else. Here you write more about your growth and development. What am I ready to invest my life in? You can formulate it as what you aspire to offer that will benefit something or somebody. It should not be an abstract benefit. I want to make the world better. No. I say to that, the streets are dirty. Go sweep the streets. One can say, well, no, I want to bring another benefit. To what I say, usually, write specifically what benefit to the world you want to offer. Don't be abstract, please. Formulate the benefit that you want to bring to the world and your vector of growth very precisely. The more precise you are, the more certain it is that you will find the right job for you. If you formulate this information abstractly, there is always the hazard that you will end up in the wrong place, and it is uncertain whether your frequencies will match or not with the company and people there. These two sections are the most fundamental ones in a resume. You can see various versions of resumes on job sites. If these 2 points are missed, then these versions are not resumes. They are called resumes by headhunters or recruiters, but they are like bot resumes, because it is unclear what to do with the person who submitted a resume like this. I can give you an example. I know a technical director of a very big tech company. He has spent his whole life working with electronics, devices, radio communications, and he has already seen everything, done everything, and contributed to everything in terms of development. He doesn't see any further potential for growth and development in that field for himself. He made a spiral staircase in his cottage and got lit up and inspired by the process. He inspired me also. And after consulting him, I installed a spiral staircase in my house. In his resume, he writes, "Yes, I have such and such experience. I spent all my life in technology and so on. But I'm not interested in all this anymore. Now I'm an engineer who designs, invents, models, and want to apply my creativity that I have gained through the years in creating unusual spiral stairs." He has designed and created so many products already. This part is completely unrelated to his previous job experience, and anyone can be in a similar situation. For example, someone who works in telecom wants to move to the construction sector, or someone who works in construction wants to become a programmer. A friend of mine, 32 years old, told me, "I sell cement in big quantities, and I'm very much successful at it. I load trucks with cement in the south of Russia and transport them to Moscow, then sell them to various construction companies. But I don't want to do this anymore." His work history is all about construction and cement. But he says, "I want to be a programmer, but everyone I tell this thinks I'm out of my mind. They say that I don't have technical education to become a programmer. I don't know even one programming language. But I really want to become a programmer. My closest friend is a programmer in Silicon Valley in the USA. He speaks with so much passion about his work. I want to be a creator too. I don't want to sell cement anymore." He has enough money and everything. So, many people have experience in one field but are interested in moving to another. That is why these two sections in the resume are so important. They indicate the next step of the person. Almost 20 years ago, this person came to me for a consultancy, and now he is a leading programmer and developer of one of the largest companies that makes systems for various large governmental agencies and organizations. Now he's a very successful programmer. He's also about 50 years old like me. He came at the age of 32, and for these 20 years, he has been a programmer. He has a completely different path. Our job searching sites are full of resumes that are about one experience. But when you interview people asking them, "Do you like it?" and "What do you want to do?" they say, "Oh, if I could, I would open my own restaurant." Oh, "Yes, I set up low equipment in telecom. I know well. But I'm not interested." Other people say, "I would make my own theater. I would love to become a singer. I love singing. I have a great voice. I have been singing all my life and I would like to move into that direction now." "Oh, I want to be a Mary Poppins. I adore children." People do many things in relation to the particular topic. But it turns out that the upper part of the resume is not correlated and not connected in any way to their work experience over the years. I hope now it is clear why resumes that omit the parts of who I am, my being, and my intentions and aspirations are not really resumes. It is unclear what to do with this person. It's important to show what you would like to do in the future, because you will be more productive in a position where you feel that you can grow. Also, it's better that your future employer knows that they can get the maximum benefit from working with you. Even if they build a super motivational system for the unmotivated person, nothing will happen. That's it with these two sections. Third section. Here you write the list of industries where you gained your experience. For example, oil and gas, food production, FMCG, beauty, and so on. The fourth point is about your specializations. Are not skills. Do not confuse them. People usually ask here, but if I know a foreign language, should I also write it here? No, this is a skill. Gluing stamps on envelopes or speaking foreign language. These are all skills. Being a specialist in something means having a deep knowledge in a particular area. It is not an instrument. If you are an expert and you are only looking for position in your field, you can rename this section from specializations to area of expertise. Mention all the areas of expertise. I will give you an example. For example, as for me, I have a specialization of a company management as general manager, 5 specializations in construction, project management, system analysis, IT system development, 14 years of research and consulting in executive search, programming, teaching, music, ecology, social work, philosophy, 30 years of guiding people on self-awareness and self-determination, creating space for development of children, 10 years of deep heart practices. However, my areas of expertise now are only last 3 points. Inside every area of expertise, we may have a lot of different skills and knowledge. It is desirable that you write a list of all specializations that you have up to now. However, the field of your expertise is better to focus on the areas where you feel highly motivated to continue working at. Then paste one by one periods of work in different companies, organizations or teams, and the names of the last. How should we write this section? Here, attention please. Here you do not need to write, I was responsible for this and that. That's how we are used to write in the resume. My area of responsibility included managing this, observing that, and so on. It's all boring, very boring. No one reads it. It's all tedious. Believe me, practically in all companies, recruiters, owners, or managers have a pretty good idea about what a person is responsible for in companies in a certain industry. After each name of a company or organization, mention please its industry. Only if we talk about well-known companies like Procter & Gamble, Russian Aluminium, Alcoa, Aluminium Consortium of America, Mars, whose specializations or industries are known to everyone, you can omit the company description. If you put into the resume not well-known company or a national company, then put the details. For example, this is a company in such area, for example, mining, metallurgy, that employs 5,000 people, so that the scales of the company is more or less clear. So, all recruiters know what people apparently do and what they are responsible for in particular roles in companies. Recruiters can also guess What key results are expected to be achieved in these positions? Believe me, it is so. You don't need to write a long list of all your duties and responsibilities. You can write about it in your long CV, if you want, or talk about it at the interview. You can write it if you want, but no one needs it. No one reads it. I also never read it because I have a good idea of the scope of responsibilities in different companies. It takes around just 6 seconds for any professional recruiter to read one page of a resume. We never read those long pages about responsibility and functionality because we have a picture in our head of what people are responsible for. We already have all necessary associations in mind. If I read this for the 500th time, it will add nothing to me. If I'm an experienced recruiter or executive search researcher, reading it will be a waste of time for me. That is why resume should be short. You don't write too much. Write the main achievements. In the West, it is customary to write about your achievements, because in the West it is customary to show personal achievements, so they have a huge focus on personality. In America, where it is a norm to praise yourself in a resume, to highlight exceptional capabilities, with this charming resume, you will be hired. If you are looking for a job in Russia or in the countries where modest behavior of candidates is accepted, then, on the contrary, write modestly and write about your real fruits. Try to avoid repeating many times the word I, me, mine, and so on. You can use different variants of expressing your role in a company, like the main achievements were I provided this, I did this, or this was done. The uninterrupted logistics activity of the company from the scratch was created, and so on. Just add the dry residue in a short and concise way, no more than a sentence. If you have created and provided many things through your work, then write 5 sentences about it and make sure that you convey the essence of what you have invested your efforts in, as well as what was your attitude towards what you have created, promoted, and so on. This will show how prolific you are, your mastery as a practitioner. It will show whether you are the type of person the company can rely on and expect real benefits. If instead of writing about the results and fruit of your work, you simply write, I was responsible for this and that, then the question that the employer will naturally have is, if I hire this person, what is he or she going to give to my business organization? Will they come and also be responsible for this and that? I need specific working results at the output or some fruits. Will the new employee create, build, and provide what I need? The employer needs someone to come and deliver certain tasks, do something specific for the business, and thus they want to know what tasks he or she is ready to solve, what he or she is ready to give. It is important that there was a result at the exit, or the fruit at the exit, but not just as being responsible for something or passing and standing nearby. This is a very significant point. It is the point the resumes are written for. The next section is education. There is ambiguity in the situation with education. Do not think, first, that MBA degrees will be meaningful in many countries when it comes to the employment. I am being very honest. MBA is not valued as much in Russia and in some other countries. I don't know why this is the case. You might think, she doesn't know what she's talking about. I have studied and sweated a lot. I have learned so many things. So, it is not that important here in Russia because in Russia, the simplest and most brilliant things are done through the creative process during which people reach for higher insights. Insights that allow you to create a business, build a process, achieve results, and get fruits without any sciences, without any MBAs. This is what is needed the most in Russia. At least, this is how I see it. Of course, you can make career steps towards the top through an MBA, through various Six Sigma, TPM, lean manufacturing, lean management, through different degrees, different methods, techniques, and so on. But very creative people who have achieved mastery in all these methods told me that the whole story about the MBA is not very adequate in our reality. I had interviewed such people, communicate with them as candidates for various positions via the phone or face-to-face. Very rarely employers are going to give a pay rise after a certain time at work because you have an MBA degree and you consider yourself cool because of that. Now in this section, you write your basic education. Often, it is much more important than writing about your MBAs, especially if people graduated from technical faculties like computational mathematics and cybernetics. There are different types of institutes, universities, colleges, and they all require different degree of effort. If you have a degree from an institute that wasn't that hard to get, and then after that got an MBA, this is not going to give you any bonuses in being hired. I hope the topic about education is clear now, but everyone can have his own opinion on this score. Selling your MBA degree is just a profitable business in education in many countries. Many universities are engaged in a similar business, making money from students. I used to joke that if someone really wants to learn something, they should go to British Eton College. Probably this will make your CV very much attractive. If someone wants to acquire something in other countries, take away, squeeze, pump out resources from other states, from other businesses, if this is the goal. Then, of course, Harvard University and other similar institutes teaching finance and management will give you something. You might have the opportunity to squeeze and acquire, but I don't think that you will be happy. I hope that this course engages those who want to be happy with their job. I'm frank about this in this course. If you do want to be happy and not just make money, then it is unlikely that an MBA will help you. If you really doubt my words and my attitude towards MBA, then look up for how it was originated. After studying and discovering the history of MBA, you might be surprised. And I think you will not have any further questions for me about why MBA is not so great. And the effect having an MBA is not a wow one. The seventh section is about our values and worldview. There is also a section with additional information that characterizes a person. For example, I go skiing, or I read philosophical books, or I am fond of self-knowledge, or I practice yoga or wellness techniques, I try to be a healthy person, and so on. And not only a driver of category B or some other category. In the last section, additional information, you can write more what characterizes you as a person. Let's return to point 7 again. Why it is so important to write about your values and worldview? Because it will be difficult to work and cooperate with the manager or the owner of the business or the head of a state enterprise simply from a human point of view if your values don't match. A set of your values is a very deep thing. Our previous video was about values. You can go back to it, especially those who didn't watch it because it was additional in this course. Itzhak Adizes said, "It is much easier for a company to hire a great individuality, a great human being. Give them professional knowledge in some branch, than to hire a professional and make a human out of him." You need to understand that most of the time companies do not invest resources to make humans out of us. It's just business. They are not interested. It's not their concern. They need us as professionals, most of all. However, we can succeed, grow, and prosper inside a company, but our values need to match. This doesn't mean that all of you who are watching and listening to me now should have some very deep human values. No. Your values should be what they are at the moment. You just need to find people you are in tune with in terms of values, especially if you intend to create your own business and look for partners for your business. If you are looking for partners for your own business, I would honestly put this point as the first one, because this will guarantee that you are on the right track. If there is no match in your worldview and values, no matter what professionals you come across, no matter what their aspirations and motivations are, there is 99.1% probability that your cooperation will fail. People with different values do not work together side by side for a long time in the same business, in the same story. Sooner or later, a scythe will find a stone. Life surely will give a situation and put those values into test. At the end, either you or your partner will leave the business. Very often, even if you have irrelevant experience, values in this part of resume are very helpful. Do you remember I told you in the first part? There was one person from telecom who wanted to be in the construction sector. However, he had everything about telecom in the CV. In this case, it is enough for you to formulate your values and match in terms of values and worldview with a person from the new industry. If this happens, then the person will gladly take you into his or her company and teach you everything in his industry, because you both are on the same wavelength. The company from new industry will give you new experience and a new profession. And you will plow there, as they say. You will overcome all obstacles and succeed. You will be highly motivated because you will feel that you are working next to a person whom you resonate with, who believes in you because your worldview and values match. This is a very important moment of mutual human support. If, for example, you are going to become an individual entrepreneur or freelancer, will be one-man company, then, of course, realizing your own values and the worldview might not be so necessary. However, there is a high probability that life will turn out so that you will need partners in the future. And even if this situation about values and worldview is not so relevant for you now, put a tick for yourself. If you come to partnership in the future, you will need to decide on this yourself, and you will need to test your future partners for their values and worldviews. The next point, the length of resume. In my experience, someone with 20 years of experience can easily fit it all in 1 or 3 pages, maybe 4 pages, it doesn't matter. Important is how concise you are. If you have 35 years of experience, it is unlikely you can fit everything in 3 pages. Don't worry about the number of pages. Regardless of the size of your resume, the recruiter on average will spend 6 seconds on reading each page. Nobody will stress out because your resume is 4 pages instead of 2. I have a list of my total recommendations, and your consultant will send it to you. Your task is to highlight all the essential keywords in your resume in bold font, to draw attention to them while reading. Whatever you want to focus on, try to highlight in bold. It could be phrases of 2 or 3 words or single keywords. I will add one smaller thing about the role. I forgot to say more about it. What is the role and how does it differ from a position? You see, it often happens that a person has a position of a sales manager, for example. However, in reality, this person is engaged in business development from scratch. There is no such business in Russia. He develops a business from scratch, and he is more than a salesman because he builds distribution networks, he builds a brand, attitude to the client, customer's attitude to the brand, to this product, and so on. On the contrary, the position of a person could be business development manager. But in fact, he's an ordinary sales manager. This confusion happens all the time. Do not be confused by what a position and a role are. Don't try to save space, because all this will have to be clarified later. You will get questions such as, and what did exactly your work of sales manager include? And when you tell them, it turns out that you have been a business development manager. You have put misinformation into their resume. For example, a company doesn't need a business development manager, but an ordinary salesperson. And you are not an ordinary salesperson. You misinformed them. You wasted their time. You wasted your time. And everyone got many disappointments. Our goal is not to get frustrated or disappointed people in the process of finding a job. Try not to misinform employers. Write what you really did. even if it takes more words to describe it. Just write, I had to build a chain of stores for the company physically as a builder, open them and provide them with personnel, everything necessary, equipment, and so on. This is just called a business development or development manager. But it is often unclear what this includes. You can write about your role more broadly, so it is clear what you were responsible for, what was the essence of the activity. Therefore, I am writing here role instead of position. As we have discussed before, sincerity in both your resume and CV is vital. There should be no misinformation. If you misinform the recruiter or the future manager, they might pick up that misinformation during the interview. You both will end up wasting a lot of time because you are not clear. They will ask you many questions. They will conclude that you don't know how to articulate your thoughts clearly. Even if you get a job, this misinformation will pop up in one way or another, and a backlash might follow. If you are applying for the role of a top manager, you need to clearly and adequately formulate your thoughts without misinformation. The resume should be adequate to the reality you live in. All the other resume-related topics, such as requirements, structures, and so on, are included in our list of requirements that you can get from your consultant. Good luck. Send your consultant your final resume. We will have a look and have a nice day. See you. Bye.